שלא יחד אחד בלבד ומדלייני שלא יחד אחד בלבד ומדלייני שלא יחד אחד בלבד שלא יחד אחד בלבד ומדלייני לחלסייני
Hello everyone, davening on the first day of Pesach during war, which I hope we never have to do again, dedicated to the loving memory of Lucy Maya and Rena D, as we go into the week of their first yortzeit after they were viciously murdered by human beasts just a year ago. And I admit I was never the same after their murder, and I don't think I'll ever be the same. But I think all of us are not the same this year as we go into a Pesach during war. The Mordechai, who was also killed at Kiddush Hashem, one of the Rishonim during medieval times, asks the following question. How come our sages ordained that we have to drink 4 cups of wine tonight and not, say, eat 4 matzas? How come they picked dafka wine? So the Yerushalmi, right at the beginning of the 10th chapter of Pesachim, says, and this is what we were taught back in kindergarten, we drink 4 cups of wine, keneged arba l'shanot ge'ula, because there are 4 statements of redemption. Vehotzeti, vehitzalti, vega'alti, velakachti. There's one more, and therefore we have a 5th cup of wine. Some drink a 5th cup of wine. Some call it the cup of Eliyahu. But the bottom line is, that's the reason why we drink 4 cups of wine. Explains the Netziv something fascinating. We did not get out of those terrible years of bondage in one fell sweep. Namely, we were in a terrible situation, and it came in stages, and we also got out of it in stages. Stage number 1, Vehotzeti. God took us out of the inui, of the suffering. Right after Makat Arov, right after those wild animals, we no longer suffered in our bondage of slavery. Right after Makat Barad came the second redemption, Vihitzalti. We no longer were slaves. We no longer had to work as slaves. Then came, after Vehotzeti, no longer suffering, and Vihitzalti, no longer slaves, came the third redemption, and that is Vega'alti. We were redeemed. We were physically taken out of Egypt after Makat Bechorot, after the slaying of the firstborn. And finally, Velakachti, God took us upon him as his nation at Ma'amad Har Sinai 50 days later. Namely, saying the Netziv, it wasn't in one fell sweep, it happened in stages. And thus, says the Netziv, something fascinating. That's why 4 cups of wine and not 4 matzahs. Because when you drink wine, you change. The first cup, you get a little more open. The second cup, you get a little tipsy. The third cup, you get even more tipsy. Namely, wine changes you. Not so. When you eat 4 matzahs, you may get fat, but you don't change. The sages wanted you to feel that the actual redemption happened in stages, and the only way to ultimately feel that is to drink wine. Therefore, our poskim say, even though grape juice is okay for those that can't, wine is preferable at the Seder. Though all year long, grape juice is fine for Kiddush. The Gemara says openly, Sochet Adam Eshkol Shel Anavim, all you have to do is squeeze a cluster of grapes for Omer Alav Kiddush Hayom, and you say Kiddush on it. For the Seder night, many poskim held, including Rav Moshe Feinstein, that you should use something with alcohol, because with grape juice you don't change. With wine you do. Thus, says the Netziv, to answer the Mordechai, it's preferable to use wine to feel those very slow changes from getting out of the suffering, getting out of the actual slavery, getting out of Egypt, and finally being taken to God as his holy nation at Ma'amad Har Sinai, at Mount Sinai on Shavuos. We are now in a war, and I don't know when we're getting out of it. But one thing I do know, that it's not going to happen in one fell sweep. We are now so many months into this war, and we're coming into this Seder without 133 of our dear brothers and sisters sitting with us because they're still in captivity. We're coming into this war without dear brothers and sisters fighting as soldiers, and we're coming into this war with so many wounded still in the hospitals. It's not going to happen in one fell sweep. But redemptions are happening. And indeed, says the Yerushalmi, why do we drink 4 cups of wine? Keneged arba geulot. To remember 4 redemptions, plural. I hope and pray, as we go into this Pesach, that just like we were redeemed then in so many redemptions, plural, we will have many redemptions as we go into this Pesach. Slowly, but surely. And God will bestow upon his nation a Chag Sameach in every single way.
Mitzrayim,